Okay, so we are back with part three. I apologize for that mishap on the previous one. I think I accidentally clicked out of my live and I had to figure out how to get back in. But anyway, this one, yeah, we're at part three. So this one is Brenda and Bernard. When I first saw it, I thought Bernard was her partner or the boyfriend, but it turns out Bernard is her son. So let's take a look at Brenda's story.
There's a famous book about the black experience in America called The Invisible Man. Ironically, anything but invisible. He's the one who shows up in the highest unemployment rate. He's right there in the top of the crime statistics. He's the one most threatening to his black neighbors and the one most feared in the mind of white America. Every teenage boy growing up can go either way, but the son of a single young woman in the ghetto is pressured to go the wrong way every time he steps onto these streets. What do you see for your future out there? You're how old now?
I'm 15, and right now, if I keep going like it's going now, I really think I probably would make it, and then again, I probably wouldn't have all the things that I really want in life right now, but I think I would have most of the things I want.
For teenagers like Bernard Wardrick and his friends, roadmaps for the way up and out. It is the street and the media that teach a boy here how to become a man.
You hear that? The street and the media. Because they to show them the way.
Bernard dreams of making it as a rap star. He and his friends have formed a group, The Educated Three. What is rapping?
And write it. I can sit at the table or whatever, wherever I'm at, and I can just think of it.
What does it take to be a good rapper? What's the skill?
You gotta have style, class, and originality. Anybody can rhyme. You just gotta put yourself into it and make it mean something.
The Educated Three tell the story of the only life they know, the life of their block. They were born and raised here in homes without fathers, and most of their time is spent here. The world they describe is no nursery rhyme, as Bernard's friend C told us.
All the people got guns and turn stick-up kids while their mother is at home, shedding tears because the son that she thought she had brought up right is on the streets leading a terrible life. He's walking down the road heading for nowhere. From my point of view, he don't even care because the attitude he has makes him care about nothing, not his mother, his brother, or even his cousins. He think life is all about on the streets being a two-time loser and a petty thief. But everybody know that you're a thief of the week because you're no good for nothing. This way you're good for something. Homeboy, the only thing you're good for is fronting.
You know this?
Yeah.
Who'd you write about?
I judged a lot on myself because I used to be out there, man.
Out there on the street?
God, just 18 years, I've seen a lot happen that I never thought I'd see.
When you're out on that street, is it dangerous?
It's dangerous, but it's dangerous. Anything you can go outside, anything can happen. Yeah, but it's how you make it, too.
Yeah. Can a guy get killed on the street easily?
Sure. See how you blink your eye?
Like that.
Yeah, kill just like that.
The leading cause of death for young black men is murder. 1 in 21 will be killed before the age of 25. Bernard was shot and robbed by 2 teenagers when he was 15. 4 months later, he was arrested for carrying a gun. That is not unusual. Nearly half of young men in the inner city are arrested before they reach 18. Trouble, Bernard told us, waits at every corner. How does a guy keep from falling into that trap that you described in that rap?
If you see everybody else robbing mine and selling drugs, you're supposed to. It takes a wise man to learn from another man's mistakes. The adults got to set an example for the kids. If they see the adults do it, that's what they're gonna do too. Eventually,
Who would be an example?
my family, my mother.
He said his example is his mother. You hear that?
Mom is Brenda Wardrick, 30 years old, the mother of 4 children by 3 different men. She has
What?
never been married. She raises her children alone in a daily tug of war with the street.
It's a battle. It's almost like, I think most parents feel the same way. You fear for your children leaving home. They can leave out and walk right across the street and trouble can get in their way.
What's the hardest thing about being a single parent?
It's hard, understanding them sometimes. And they have difficulties understanding me because I'm a young parent and sometimes they act like I'm their sister as well as their mother,
Brenda was just 14 when she became pregnant with Bernard, her first child. Bernard's father was 15. By the time she was in her early 20s, there were 3 more children, each unplanned. To support them, Brenda works on and off as a nurse's aide, but she could not make ends meet without welfare. None of the children's fathers give her any financial support. I don't understand what happens that causes so many fathers not to take responsibility for the kids they created or helped to create.
It's easier on their pockets if they can. Most of the men today don't, assume their responsibilities as they should. Not that they can't, they just don't.
I'd get very mad if I were a mother. I think I would.
Oh, I get angry. But getting angry isn't gonna solve anything. And then sometimes, their fathers, they feel like if they're gonna support them, then they have to have more time with me. And I don't feel that that's really necessary,
You'd rather take the burden of the children alone than to have to.
I wouldn't rather, but I have.
What do your children mean to you?
My friends, they're my world, When I wake up in the morning, see, if you don't have a husband or a man with you, your children are always there. So you have someone to call your own.
You see that? She said the same thing as the other female in part 2. You have someone to call your own. So the mindset here is ownership. So she doesn't have a husband to own or to have as her own. So now it's her children. So I've stated this before in previous videos. This is what has replaced the husband and the father. It's the government, the church, and the children.
So your children will smile when nobody else will.
Do you want your kids to get married?
Sure. Especially my daughter. My boys, they'll probably be, freelance.
Freelance,
Yeah.
like their fathers?
Yeah.
So she wants her daughters to get married. The question is, why would she want them to get married? And 2, how are they supposed to go out and cultivate a healthy relationship with a man when they didn't even see their mother doing it? But you see how quick she was to say, well, my sons, they'll be like their father.
Maybe, I don't know.
That does seem to be the pattern.
Yeah.
I've come a long ways. Whoa, yeah. Yes. Once a single mother like Brenda would not have been so alone in raising children. She was born here in rural North Carolina, surrounded by an extended Baptist family. But her father went north looking for work, and Brenda was raised in Newark. Many summers she came back south to visit her kinfolk. They still live here and every year hold a family reunion. With her present boyfriend, Lamont Banks, Brenda brought her children down for the occasion.
Oh, she has a boyfriend. I missed that one.
She wanted Bernard especially to see a world different from the streets of Newark.
Okay, I'm going to skip this church stuff because I can't stomach it. I'm gonna go forward and let's see what else. Okay, so I want to hear more of her son's story. Let's see.
Yourself becoming one day?
Yes, because I really be hoping to get up out of this. And there's be times I'll be wondering, well, how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, he has to hope because he has no this is so depressing. Hopefully I won't get a headache by watching this, but this is how they program us, a lot of Black people, to live. We just survive on hope. He hopes to get out. He hopes that something will happen, but every person that I've known who has made it out of the hood, they didn't hope their way out of it. So this is hearing him say that is unfortunate.
If I'll be able to do it. But I really think I'll be able to because I'm strong.
The street's strong too, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It really is because it's a lot of things that's out there that be, pull you back. But you stand to the right things and do the right thing, you can make it.
I actually get the sense talking to Bernard that he's still a little boy struggling to be a man, and he's more boy than man.
Yes. Yes.
Do you think he has a chance to get out of here to a good environment? Fresh
I
start?
hope so. I hope so. And that's all I can say is to hope.
Does your heart sometimes beat twice when you see him walk down those steps and out into that?
Every day. Every day. I wonder if he'll reach his destination safely and then return back home. My relief is when I hear this key turn in the door in the afternoon, and I know at least he's back home.
That chili you had for dinner has just started a 3-alarm fire inside you. Alka-Seltzer to the rescue. Alka-Seltzer goes to work.
Sorry about that, guys.
For these kids, that someone is Detective Shahid Jackson of the Newark Police. He came by his street smarts the hard way.
Well, I came up out of the streets, so I know how to get around a lot of that stuff. And I guess the older you get, the more you learn. I was fortunate enough coming up that I never got caught. And I grew out of the streets, but yet I still have some of the street in me.
There was a time when he wasn't sure he would make it off those streets. He was an unmarried father at 18, and he had his share of troubles. But he was raised by two parents. His father was a Baptist minister, and they pushed him to make something of himself.
On Sunday morning on my block, you would see each family almost coming out going to church. You don't see that anymore, the family unity.
When he was 21, Shahid Jackson joined the police department. Although he handled security for us while we were in Newark, his beat is the kids of the neighborhood who look up to him as if he were their father. What he can do with them here, he knows, is just warm up for what they face out of the ring and out of his reach.
Going for the title. Work, time.
What have you learned about these kids?
That they need somebody to love them. They identify with us because we don't take any crap. You come in here, you got to be disciplined. You got to, follow the rules and regulations. Because when they go out here and deal with life, they're going to have to follow rules and regulations in life.
Self-control and self-esteem, far more important than a good left hook. That's his message to kids like Bernard Wardwick. He's been coaching Bernard for the past 4 years.
It's like a big brother-father between me and Bernard. There's been times when he's gotten me mad and I've spanked him, and his mother knows I'll spank him and he knows I'll spank him. And sometimes that's what a kid needs to know. Freedom is a lot of times destruction. The more freedom a man has, a lot of time he'll just self-destruct. So I try to, keep him in a little cage. Keep him in my arms.
Somebody has to say no.
Yeah, somebody has to say, no, you cannot do this.
A lot of these kids grew up with nobody saying no.
Right.
Do you think it's important for them to have men around?
Yeah, I think, if you have a one-parent family and there's a mother, she cannot teach you all of the things that a man can teach a son. There's no way.
So where do they learn the routine techniques of just daily work and living? They don't.
Unless they get it from their parents, they'll get it from the streets.
How do these kids on the streets make it?
He could either be a stick-up man if he stays in the streets. He could be a mugger. He could be a drug dealer. There's so many different things. Like you get a kid who's a good boxer, and a drug dealer may say, "Hey, you want to make so much money a day? Just make sure nobody stick up my man here."
He becomes a soldier for the drug dealer,
Or a strong arm,
helping to protect the drug dealer.
helping to protect him. Because if he can make $100 a day or $60 a day just standing there watching something, and he does it. That's the battle that you got to deal with. That's the war, to try to convince them that stuff isn't in the streets, isn't what's in their best interest.
Does it worry you that Bernard could fall into that?
I think he could go either way, but I think if he does, it'll be something that'll really hurt me. So I don't think I'll let him go. He's like a son to me.
What do you think's ahead for kids like Timothy and Alessandra?
It's going to be rough. It's like hell where they live. And Alice is sweet as hell, but she loves Timothy. I would say if Alice had a husband that was strong, she could do something with her life.
Is a kid like Timothy, what happens to a kid like that down the road?
He's like a guy on a trip without a road map. Timothy's just out there. Timothy doesn't know which way he wants to go, what he wants to do. Timothy is a guy with great talent. As far as art, the kid could draw anything. But Timothy is a ladies' man.
Is that a point of pride with him? Accomplishment?
To him, I would imagine, yeah, it's an accomplishment.
Where does he get any money, Shahid? He doesn't work. He told me he hadn't had a job in 2 years.
Oh, Alice gets her assistance, I imagine.
Welfare?
Yeah, welfare and stuff. And
That happened a lot. The mother gets public assistance and helps a guy on the side.
I don't know if you would say they help him, but it's a lot of guys that I know that just goes around looking for welfare mothers. And they may have 6 of them like that and get a little piece of money out of each of them. That's their job. That's their hustle.
What do you think about welfare?
Welfare, to me, some people need it. I'll be for real. Some people really actually need it. And then others take advantage of it.
Sandra Alice told me yesterday that she thinks welfare has made her lazy.
Yeah, because it's there. You know that your food is going to be there every month, because with welfare finance come food stamps. Then you get Medicaid to cover your medical expenses. Welfare is doing everything. You're married to welfare. A lot of the women's. They're more married to welfare than the guys laying in the bed next to them, because he's just a physical thing. The whole backbone of the family is coming out of downtown or out of uptown offices.
Government office.
Yeah.
Does this
Damn, he said the backbone of the family is coming from downtown. Oh my God. Oh.
cycle of dependency, what does it do to the values of these kids?
Oh, they see it as a game. Somebody owes me something. Somebody's going to take care of me. It's not the self-esteem.
What do you think's ahead for kids like Timothy?
Maybe he'll get shot, or he'll pick up a gun to protect himself and he'll get shot by a police officer pulling it, or he'll get arrested.
Some of these kids are just losers, aren't they? Sad as it is.
Yeah, you're born into a dead end, and you're in that rut. If you're born into that type of situation, how do you escape? That's the biggest question that I would like to answer, so I can start getting these kids to know.
Why do they have kids so early? Why do these children have children? This is a dead end. That's a perfect description for it.
Well, when I was growing up, sex was almost a dirty word. Now sex is what's happening. They see sex in TV, sex in the movies, sex everywhere. And some girls think it's cute walking down the street praying.
Don't you ever get discouraged?
I get discouraged. I lock people up. I get in fights.
Don't you ever want to walk away from it?
Yes, but I feel like so many people has done that. To me, I hate to lose. I hate to lose, and I never would have started working with kids if I didn't, for me to walk away from it and feel like I lost.
Dr. George Jackson is a practicing psychologist who teaches at Howard University. He is blind. 3 days a week, he counsels Newark kids referred to him by the courts and the social workers. Dr. Jackson cannot see, but he has heard over and over what the breakdown of the family means to children.
This fool said the doctor's blind, and he said, "Really, reporter?"
See depression, we see terrible anger, we see a lack of expectancy.
What are they angry about?
Children are born without any understanding as to how to manage their feelings, and it's through the training and teaching that these foundations are set. Children who are the children of children are not being trained to understand how to manage their feelings. So they want when they want what they want when they want it. And when they don't get it, they get angry.
I talked to a young man yesterday, 30 now, but he described what happened to him when he was 15, how he took a baseball bat to somebody who'd messed with his girlfriend, how he actually shot somebody who had spit on him. What causes that hair trigger emotion?
If you have no respect for life, you then will try to destroy or dismantle another person. It won't matter to you. Such a person doesn't have a conscience. And I think that, again, we don't have the foundations. The foundations weren't set.
We've talked to one 27-year-old father. He has 7 kids he's not caring for. 7 kids by several different women. Why? Why does that happen?
If you're a rolling stone, and if the father before you was a rolling stone, or there are no values to constrain you from this behavior, then you have, you do this and you do it with impunity.
It becomes a badge of honor?
Right, and it's the only badge of honor that you expect to get.
Do they feel any sense of guilt over their impotence as fathers?
No. Not the kind of guilt that would be appropriate to changing the behavior.
Are we breeding a new outlaw society?
We're breeding a society more that will destroy itself.
So people say, well, that doesn't bother me. I mean, as long as they stay in Newark and shoot each other, and mug each other, and screw each other, so what do I care?
But what goes around comes around. It may appear that these individuals are on reservations, they're isolated, but you cannot really divorce yourself from what happens to other people in this country. And if you design a society, a sub-society where people will annihilate themselves, it won't be long before this becomes a disease that infects the entire population.
You don't think we can run to the suburbs anymore?
No, I think you can run, but you can't hide.
All right, who would like to go on the field?
All right, so I'm going to cut this and do a part 4. But you hear what he said. It's a society that will eventually destroy itself. Now, the reporter mentioned something about the suburbs. And I have noticed a big change in my area in the suburbs. When I was coming up in the 90s, this type of behavior was only in the, I hate to use the word ghetto, but this is how people described it. But that behavior and that lifestyle was only in the area I was in. And I noticed it started to creep out more so in the suburbs. And I noticed a lot of degenerate behavior. Females, they were adopting and kind of embracing, well, not females, I'm sorry, just people in general, they started to adopt this mentality. And they grew up in 2-parent homes and they were taught values, but it seemed as though they were attracted to this lifestyle that they weren't even a part of. They weren't raised in an environment, they didn't live it, but they were attracted to it. So yeah, it's getting bad. Well, it's already bad out here. But anyway, I'm going to cut this short and I'm going to finish and do part 4. So I'll see y'all on part 4. Yes. You know what? Let me respond to this comment. Yes, Shahrazad Ali. Yes, I remember. I saw her in I saw her in person last March at a vegan restaurant. She gave a nice lecture, but she did mention that I'm gonna do a video on her too, Shahrazad Ali, because I like some of the stuff that she says. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm gone. I'll see y'all on part 4.